Hello. Tonight's story is called Leo the Lop. He's a lop-eared rabbit. His ears flop down. That's why he's a lop. In a warm, gentle corner of a soft green forest, a whole bunch of bunnies were born. There were so many baby rabbits you almost wouldn't believe it. There were white ones and brown ones, and some had spots, and every one of them had a little pink nose, fluffy white tail, and two pointy ears that stood straight up in the air. All of them except for Leo the Lop. Can you see the one with the ears that are going down? I think it's this one. Now, it wasn't that Leo didn't have a little nose or a fluffy tail, because he did. What he didn't have was ears that stood straight up in the air. Instead of standing up, they hung straight down. That really didn't matter to Leo, because he thought he was just as normal as could be. Besides, he couldn't see his ears anyway. Can you see your ears? Day by day, as the rabbits got older, they began to notice that Leo was slightly different. The more they looked at him, the funnier it seemed, and it got so bad that the entire burrow of bunnies would roll around on the ground, holding their sides in fits of laughter every time Leo walked by. You've got to admit that a rabbit walking round with his ears dragging in the dirt is pretty funny. Not really. Now, Leo was very confused. He didn't see anything funny about the way he looked. His fur was the same and his tail was the same, and as far as Leo was concerned, he was perfectly normal. Finally, out of frustration, he said, "How come you guys are always laughing at me?" For a moment, the other rabbits tried to be serious, but they just couldn't hold back the laughter, and one of the rabbits finally blurted out, "Your ears, you dope! They drag on the ground! You just aren't normal!" Leo looked down, and sure enough, there were his ears dangling in the dust. He looks really sad. I guess Leo was kind of hurt. He really didn't feel any different than the other rabbits, but because his ears hung down instead of up, he just wasn't normal. He thought, all I need is to exercise a little bit and my ears will stand up just like all the normal rabbits. And so with that in mind, he struggled and strained, trying to make them stand up. Unfortunately, the best he could do was to get them to stick straight out. And he could do that only for a minute, and then no matter how hard he tried, they would flop back to the ground in a puff of dust. Well, thought Leo, that didn't work. Maybe if I show my ears which way to go, they'll get the idea and go on their own. And very carefully he climbed up a tree, and after cautiously hooking his hind legs around the branch, he dangled over upside down. And sure enough, his ears, they hung straight down. So he looks quite normal. Leo must have hung that way for nearly an hour when a voice made him look around. "What you doing that for?" said the voice. Leo looked around, and right beside him was a possum. "Well," said Leo, feeling a little foolish, "I'm hanging upside down because my ears will learn which way they're supposed to go so I can be a normal rabbit." "What's normal?" said the possum. "Before, when I saw you on the ground, your ears looked normal. Now they look upside down." Leo thought and thought. And you know what? He didn't have an answer for that. So with a flip, he dropped to the ground. He thought, if my ears are going down as a normal, then the other rabbits and their ears going up, they aren't normal. The more he thought about the other rabbits, the funnier it became, and with a laugh and a giggle, he raced off to tell them what he'd discovered. In bursts of laughter, he told the other rabbits what he'd found out. At first, they didn't know whether to believe him, and then they started to look at one another, and they realised that Leo might be right. "Oh dear, what are we going to do?" they cried. "I've got an idea," said one of the rabbits, and he picked up two big rocks and some twine, and he tied them to the end of his ears, and sure enough, with all that weight, the ears began to droop lower and lower until they reached the ground. Seeing his success, the other rabbits ran and picked up rocks and tied them to their ears. Everything would have been all right except for one small problem. The rocks and ears kept getting all tangled up in tails and feet till all was confusion, with bunnies lying in a dusty heap. "This isn't going to work," they said. "There's got to be a better way." "Maybe," said a little furry bunny, "if we showed our ears the way they should be normally, then they would go that way naturally." So they all tried very carefully to climb a tree, and after tying their ears to the branch, they gently hooked their legs and swung over, hanging upside down. And sure enough, every one of those bunnies' ears hung up instead of down. They look funny, don't they, with their ears tied to the branches? They must have hung that way for a long time, and a voice made them look around. "What you doing that for?" said the voice. And they looked, and right before them, hanging from a branch, was that very same possum. Well, they said, feeling a little bit dumb, we're hanging this way so our ears will be normal like Leo's. What's normal? Said the possum. Before, when I saw you all on the ground, your ears looked normal. Now they look upside down. And they all thought and thought, and you know what? They couldn't answer that either. Carefully they untied their ears and flip-flopped to the ground below. The rabbits thought and thought, if we're normal and Leo is normal, then normal is whatever you are. And with a hop and a giggle, they raced off to tell Leo what they'd learned. After listening to their story, Leo had to agree that normal is whatever you are. And from that day forward, the rabbits of the burrow lived very normal lives in their soft, warm forest. So, if you're a rabbit and your ears go up or down, try to remember Leo and the lesson that he found. Leo did still have one small problem, though. His ears always drooped in his soup. But I think he's a very cute rabbit, don't you? So that's the story of Leo the Lop. Night, night. God bless. Love you.